Hi everyone and welcome to Digg, the podcast. I am so flippin' excited to bring you all the most amazing guests over the next few weeks and months. We're living in tough times and sometimes we need to switch off and listen to other people's stories and other people's experiences of life and of business. And that's exactly what I hope to bring you with Digg, the podcast. So I hope you're sitting comfy. You know I like to talk. Let's dive in today with our next guest.
I am delighted and honoured to have my first ever guest as Ashlee Coburn. Ashlee is also known as Oh So Femme on social media, and she is Northern Ireland's top fashion influencer. Last year, she was named as Fashion Influencer of the Year at the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. She was also named as Influencer of the Year at the Makeup and Beauty Awards. Ashlee is brand ambassador award-winning luxury tanning brand Bella Mianta, which is worn by celebrities all over the world and stocked in 5,000 outlets nationwide. Ashlee is an amazing content creator. She has launched her own business, OSF Designs, and that helps businesses bring their brands to life through creative movements. She specializes in video content, and she really is ahead of her game when it comes to influencer marketing.
Well, thank you very much, Caroline, because I wouldn't have at all described myself that way. I think sometimes it's really nice to hear things and how people describe you and what way they think of you, because you don't think, as an outsider, you can look at somebody and go, oh my God, they're amazing. But like, I would never look at myself and go, well, I would never tell anybody what you've just said. I'm just like, wow, okay, Caroline, you think that of me?
Well, I think that's why people like you so much. It's very endearing quality that you wouldn't really put yourself out there as being the amazing content creator and influencer that you are, but you most certainly are, and you have the awards to prove it, and you have the brands that back you to prove how amazing you are. But I know you, Ashlee, but there might be people listening that don't know exactly what Oh So Femme is and what you do. So could you tell just a wee bit about your background and how you got to be where you are today and what that actually is?
So my name is Ashlee, and I have my Instagram Oh So Femme, which actually originally didn't start off from what people think. It happened by mistake, because I was originally I came out of uni, a fashion design degree, and I couldn't get a job. We were in the recession. So I couldn't get a job. I had a job waiting, and then there was no more room. They told me that basically because of the recession, they had to actually decline and do cutbacks. So kind of like what we're in now. So I think maybe this will resonate to some people. So whenever I started to look for a job, people had asked me, well, you've got no experience. So without the experience, what have you been doing behind the scenes? Have you got a blog? And I was like, no, I don't have a blog. What's that? So I had to like kind of try and find out what that was, and find out it was like people like say doing written entries or taking photos of say their outfits or whatever it was. So I started taking photos of my outfits, but I didn't want anybody to know it was me because I found it quite embarrassing at the start. So I would have either chopped my head out of photos or wore big sunglasses, and at the very start, like people were always wondering why I wore sunglasses, like even in winter, but it was because I didn't want people knowing that it was me. So, and that's why I created Oh So Femme, and it's not Ashlee. And it's obviously somebody out there found out that I was doing it, and then word got around, and then from that, it kept growing and grew very organically, I would say. But obviously, there's been a bit of luck in between all of that as well. And I still didn't get my fashion design job out of it, but something else happened, and I think that's what happens with life sometimes. Things are thrown at you and you don't get what maybe you intended and going for, but it works out in a different way, in a better way, because everything from that has obviously created a new venture, which my new venture now is OSF Designs, and I'm now, instead of being not just an influencer where I'm creating content and actually helping brands where I can help them, because I've been very limited as an influencer. You're more limited, especially if you decide, for example, at the moment, I'm very picky about who I work with because not everything is what I would wear or what I would buy myself. If I actually like a brand and really invested in a brand, I will showcase that on my channel. But what I've now created for brands is, look, if I can't influence it, or if I can't if I can't showcase your brand because it's not for me, I can instead help your brand with video content and create content for you instead, so that I'm still able to help them, but in a different way, and maybe even give them advice on who they should be working with.
Yes, so that's definitely like where it's at today on the podcast. I know there's going to be a big business community listening, looking to know about content creation. And when we talk about content creation, like if there's someone sitting there now going, what are they actually talking about? We're talking about the visuals that are attached to your brand or business. So when someone lands on your Instagram page, your Facebook page, your website, what is the feed? What is the look of your business when that happens? And that's what Ashlee has launched her new business, OSF Designs. That's what that helps you with. But as an influencer, I know there's going to be a lot of influencers listening as well, wanting to know, like, oh my God, she's got 41,000 followers. Like, how do I get past 10? Like, loads of people struggle with the getting past 10. And you and I both know that is hard work. That it does not happen overnight. And, have you any, tips for those people that are maybe thinking, God, it's not happening for me? Like, what way did you find that growth?
I think sometimes as well, the more you focus on a number instead of letting it grow organically, it maybe gets into your head a little bit too much as well. So and it annoys you and then prevents you from being creative or from going forward. So sometimes don't even look at the number, just keep being yourself and doing you, because people follow you for your personality or because you're relatable to them. Don't be afraid to show your personality. Don't hide from the camera, because sometimes whenever you hide and you get far more interaction from video than photo whenever it comes to like followers and people actually being invested in your content. There was a study done and they had said that people actually engage more in video than they do on a photo. So I always find as well, sometimes with my channel, people are actually more interested about the real life talks than they are even than, just fashion. They want to see a mix sometimes. So if you want to grow, you have to let a bit of your personality out there as well. And then another way was I would have, at the start with fashion, there was new brands coming on the scene and I would have bought stuff from them, or if they had a new launch, like Lorna Lux, she's an influencer. She's a very big influencer, and she had a collaboration coming out with in the style. So she designed all the pieces, and her style's very much like my style. So I decided I would straight away, whenever that collection came out, I was straight away buying, because I knew as well, if I did buy and if I showcased, like, yes, I loved it, but if I showcased it, then either the brand, because it was a brand new product or a brand new campaign for them, they would have either shared it. You have to make sure you tag these brands too. And I tagged Lorna Lux, and she actually tagged the stuff that I was wearing, because I really loved one of her shirts that she had, and I styled it 4 different ways, and she loved the way I styled it. So she had reshared that, and from her resharing that, I gained a lot of followers just from her reshare. So it's kind of all that whole, giving the love to receive the love type thing as well. With Instagram, you have to kind of share each other and shout each other out to be able to grow. And it's about relationship.
You done with that shirt? That's hard work. Like that took time. You had to edit it, you had to style it. So I think a lot of influencers maybe they're not aware that it actually is hard work to create content like that to get noticed. So I think that's a good tip, like to actually put yourself out there, work hard to create amazing content to get that reaction really. Otherwise it doesn't really happen quickly.
No, nothing comes easy. I'll say that. Nothing does come easy. It's like people don't see behind the scenes where, like, if I am doing my videos at the moment. Even for my own Instagram, my stories, I don't really just take a photo and post it up. I actually video me opening up the packages like I did today, and then I'll go and I'll edit it. But I edit it so, like, obviously if there's too much waffle, I'll take that out, or there's just simple wee things I do just to make it more interesting for people to watch. And because I've went to that extra effort, I do find the audience and the views are higher because of that, compared to if I just posted, screenshots of stuff.
So I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors of the podcast, and that is B&L Productions. I have been so busy over the past few years, and when I've needed to make digital things happen, it's B&L Productions that I have always put my trust in. Like, I think of these guys as a one-stop shop for all things events, live and film. The team have worked with me on so many things, the social media content when I owned my shop. They provided everything, like from scripting, casting, storyboards, multitude of cameras, lighting, sound, editing, all the things that as a business owner aren't my expertise. And they also supported us in the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards that I'm the co-founder of. Like, that night took my breath away. The lights, the PA, the camera feeds, the huge LED wall, I will never forget it. Like, if it's a live streaming conferences for your work or whatever your project is, like, they bring all the kit, the microphones, the screens, they produce high-end TV ads, custom animations. They sort everything out in a hassle-free way. And like, I've called them up with all my crazy ideas over the years, and you know what? No idea is too big or too small or too ambitious. That's what I've learnt about the team at B&L Productions. So if you are thinking of commissioning some new marketing videos or online content, I hand on heart recommend my friends at B&L Productions. I know they will look after you. So I just want to thank them for being the sponsor. In fact, they're even editing this podcast because that is not my expertise at all. So thanks a million, B&L. And if you want to check out their socials, it's B&L Productions, or visit their website at bnlproductions.co.uk.
I want to talk now about, like, Ashlee, there's a big business community I hope are going to be listening to the Digg podcast. And when I listen to podcasts, I like to learn. I have no interest in listening to podcasts that don't, like, teach me something or inspire me. So that's really what I wanted this podcast to be. And I know I've heard you speak before and give businesses tips and really great advice about content creation. So can we talk now about where Instagram has led you, like your content creation business that you just launched? Can you just tell me a little bit about it, like OSF Designs, and what really that is?
So for me, influencing wise, it probably came around the whole COVID thing in general, but I was getting more creative because I'm not traveling up and down for PR trips to Dublin. So I have the time. Well, I say I have the time, but I have a toddler on about all the time. I have more time to edit videos, and I realized that was something I really enjoyed. And then brands are really enjoying the way that I created the content. So I got asked, because, to be honest, because there wasn't any videographers and models during the lockdown. There weren't any access to getting any of that stuff done. So I got asked by Beauty and the Bump Maternity if I could do for her website, because she needed images for her new designs. And she asked me, because she liked my content, would I be the model but also do the photos and the editing, and usually what she would hire 3 or 4 people to do. So I was like, fine, that's no problem. And then I have a friend as well, Laura from Bumble and Bee. You know Laura obviously really well too. And she had said about her Instagram was kind of a bit messy, she didn't have time for it. And I said, look, I can come in and just take a few photos and then tidy it up, and I can show you how to do that. But Laura prefers me just doing them. So
well, I think as a business owner, I get that. Like, I had a retail shop, so sometimes in my head I'm thinking, you know what, I this isn't my skills, like graphics and content. I would rather pay someone to do it well and invest in the money and free me up to do the things that I am good at. So I get Laura thinking like that. So someone like you coming along is like a saving grace. So sorry for interrupting you, but I just have to get that in there. As a business owner listening, I bet you everyone's thinking, oh my God, I need an Ashlee in my life. So I can understand how that happened. Sorry, go on ahead. I just want to say that.
I would say, I think it's probably more cost effective, just like if you're looking like a big massive launch or promo launch, like a big massive thing, there are your videographers. Like I don't have a drone or anything. I can't do anything of the any of the special magic effects or anything. So mine would be trying to get like video content that people can use on a regular basis, because I do know that obviously a lot of businesses try to do their own, because maybe getting professionals, it's good for like a launch of a business or a product or a big launch of something, but sometimes you can't afford to get them on the regular basis every single week. So what I do as well is like I also have that one-to-one session as well. So if I am doing the photos or if I'm doing the videos, I can actually show people like, look, here's the little tips and tricks. This is how you do this. So they can either decide to sit with you in the one-to-one while you do a little bit of work for them, and maybe they catch on, or some people just though genuinely are not good at creating content. But that's like myself, like my skills are very, like I would always have been a very creative person. When it comes to business, I'm kind of like, whew, I don't understand business. I would need someone to help me with business. So I think the way things are going as well, because everything's online, you really need to try and make sure that people click on your Instagram and that you've got good content there, eye-catching content, because whenever you do get a new customer or you get someone clicking onto your profile, they literally scan it for a couple of a couple of seconds, and then they decide whether they want to follow or whether they want to move on. It's the same with brands. So big, massive brands, whenever they're looking for influencers, they'll click on to your profile and they'll look at the aesthetic and the grid, and if they think that in those 2 seconds, because they have to look through loads of people all the time, so in those 2 seconds, if they don't think you're the right fit, but they look at your grid, then they move on. And businesses now, I think with everything becoming online, if you're not good at taking photos and you're not good at creating that content, because people can't get out to the shops as much anymore, then you could potentially lose a sale that way, because maybe what's in store looks far nicer in store than maybe because you find yourself you find it hard to take photos, then what's in store might not transfer over.
Yes, and if I'm a business owner sitting listening to this, like whenever I used to have my shop and I was listening to someone like you speaking, I'm thinking, I could never afford to pay her to do this. So I'm trying to figure out, is this affordable for a small business owner to get someone like you I know everyone has different budgets, but I'm just trying to figure out, is it affordable to get someone like you in to do this for us, really?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I'll work with budgets as well. Whatever people's budgets are, I'll work around that. But sometimes, like, if it's not cost effective for me to say come in and do their content all the time, then maybe it would be more beneficial from learning a few different tips from even lighting, where it's best in their shop to take their photos. Because even with Laura's, I've had to, like, at the start with Bumble and Bee, I've had to like go around the shop and find different areas, and now we have a certain area that we take the photos from. So there was a day I wasn't able to get up to Laura and she was able to do her own content. And I don't think anybody really noticed either. So she just
we couldn't afford you. If we asked a price, if a business owner asked a price and they were like, no, that's not, but I could afford a one-to-one consultation, you show me what to do, and then they could take it from there. That's kind of the two ways someone would work with you, really.
Yeah, so basically there's some people don't have time. If they don't have time, then obviously I can help them. But if they have a bit of time there and they want a one-to-one consultation to help them learn how to create content, and to be honest, a lot of it is to do with lighting, and then there'll be obviously apps and editing. But I don't use anything like all my apps I use, I think, are free as well. So I'm not asking them to
That was my next question, because as business owners, you know, the mind boggles with the app thing. So all I want to know when I'm listening to someone like you is, tell me what flipping app I need to make that look good. So I've written down here and on my list of questions for you, what are the best apps for editing? Can I do it myself? Are they hard to use? That's what a business owner is going through their head right now. I know. So can you give us about what apps are good and not too complicated now?
So like I use InShot for video editing and for all my video editing, but I think people think it's something different, but it's just because I've practiced for the last year and a half, so my editing skills have got quite good on that app. Although I'll hopefully be moving to something else, but it's not for beginners. I'd say beginners is InShot. The InShot app for video editing.
HOT.
Sorry?
That's INSHOT, InShot, isn't it? Just so people, in case they can't to this, okay?
Yeah. And then with that as well, you're better off just, it takes practice. It's the same with anything. It's like driving a car. Like after a while, you get to know what cogs work and how to make it work, and then it becomes second nature. And then for photos, there's the Teza app. There's Lightroom's a little bit more complicated. Teza's probably easier for beginners too, and they've got lovely little filters. So Teza is TEZZA. And then I think most people have heard of Lightroom, but it is trickier. You just have to take your time with it. I would say those three, and if you start off with Teza and then move over to Lightroom whenever you feel a little bit more experienced.
Okay, and is there any pieces of equipment that are affordable that every business owner should have whenever they're trying to create nice content for their socials or their website? Is there any tips for that?
Well, I have a camera. Like if anybody was looking to go for the more expensive side, but it is a good camera. And it's a small compact one. It's the Canon GX7 Mark II, but you don't need to invest your money in that unless you're wanting really, like if you want to be extremely professional. But if you're just starting off to see how it works, if you've got an iPhone, or like, I think it was an iPhone 11 or iPhone 12 seems to be very good with video and lighting. But the lighting issue is always best if you have a ring light. If you don't have natural light coming in, or with these winter months it's getting worse, get a ring light, and you don't have to go spend, I think some people spend £120, £130. My ring light is £30. No, it's either £30 or £50. It's maybe £50 because it's a dimmable light, but I got mine off eBay, and I have 2 soft boxes for £30. So even if you can't afford the ring light first, get 2 soft boxes for £30.
So whenever like I'm listening to you, and some people don't even know what a softbox is. So that's literally how, as a business owner, you can become so detached from things like this because you're so caught up with flipping, making sales and stuff. So the softbox is the big black thing with like the white cover over it, isn't it? On a stand, like a tripod stand type thing.
Yeah, it's on a stand, and then it's like a big massive bulb. But
if you give me a link for that, I can put it in the show notes so people can actually click the link and buy. Like, that's what we need. We need the straightforward talking.
Yeah. So no, they're really good. But also, if you can get a ring light, especially makeup artists, if makeup artists can get a ring light, or anybody that does beauty, a ring light would be really good for them. But I think actually most of them already have in their salons, because they're working with the face, they probably have lights like that. So maybe even like some salons, if you already have lights like that, I would even just use some of those lights yourself, and just, it's all about practice and trial and error at the end of the day. So you need to find out what works best for you. But you're always going to have to look around for the best lighting in the room to start off with, or because some people would stand. I've seen so many times where people, like for a photo, they stand not facing the window, but with their back to the back to their window, so the light's coming in from behind them. if they were taking a selfie and then they wonder why it's so dark. It's because if the light's coming in from the window, the camera's catching all the light from the back and then therefore making you dark. So you always need to make sure the light is facing you, so the light's actually coming on you or on your product. You don't want light from behind, always in front.
Okay, that's a good tip even in itself, because I heard you speak at another conference and you told me that, and I know it might sound so simple, but I always thought, no, I'd stand with the light behind me, and and then when you said that and I turned, it just completely transforms a photo. So yeah, that's a really good tip. And then I've always wondered, is there any like online tutorials or anything that you could recommend people watch, or is it just trial and error to find out what works, or is there any kind of, like, I suppose YouTube's a good resource for everyone, but is there anything that you would recommend?
Well, YouTube's really good for some, like, even trying to find out how certain people edit photos and stuff. Now, I am trying at the moment to look about a website, and then after I get a website, I'm hoping at some stage to do an online course for how to use InShot, just for beginners. Nothing it'll be simple enough that people can understand, because I find whenever I've had people before message me, how do you do this? And I think I'm very good at showing people through video how to use video. So I'm hoping that I can do that in the future. So, and I mean the very near future. I just have to get a website up and running. But in the meantime, I would look at YouTube videos when you can. Just type into YouTube how to use InShot, or how to use the photo apps as well. Although sometimes it just depends on people's style. Like sometimes with photos, I would type into YouTube to try and find out how to use a certain app, but the way the person edits is maybe not the way I edit, or it's not my style. So you have to be careful with that too. So if you want to learn tips and tricks, that's fine, but a lot of people show you how they edit their photos, or how they edit, to make, say, a really grainy filter or a really brown filter on top of their photos, and that might not suit you if you're doing products, because you don't want to change the color of what your product is. So sometimes there's a lot of searching through YouTube channels to get that.
So I think that like there'll be people listening again who will say, oh, I would love to learn those skills, and then there'll be the others who say, no, actually, I just want to pay you, I'm sorry, I can't be dealing with having to do that as well. And I get that, it's another string to the bow that some people just don't have the energy for, but there'll be customers in both avenues, I'm sure, for you queuing up. But how can someone get in touch to book you for either one-to-one or to come out, and what kind of time scale? I know you're going to have a baby and you're flat out and you have a lot going on, but what time scale are we looking at for someone getting you, and also how do they reach out?
Well, I've already got a waiting list for February, March time, whenever I come back off maternity leave, and I'm already, at the moment, I'm booked up until I pop. So, and that's hoping I don't pop before some of the people I have to meet. So the best way to get me is not through my Oh So Femme page, because, to be honest, the DMs flood in there all the time. I miss things all the time. So if they either DM on the OSF Designs page, or if they email my ohsofemme at outlook.com, if they email that, or message on OSF Designs. And I've said to people before, look, whenever they message me in the Oh So Femme Instagram page, if I don't reply here, email. Whenever it comes to business, email me, because I miss stuff. You're probably the same. Like your DMs just go crazy and you just can't keep up with them all.
Yeah, okay, so email is the best way to get you, really, if you're really, really determined to get OSF Designs in your business soon. And what piece of advice would you give to business owners out there who are struggling? Like, I I, as a business owner, have struggled with this in the past because I have imposter syndrome, where I look at other brands and businesses who are doing these amazing things on social and on their website, and then I don't get any further because I'm so consumed with the fact that mine looks terrible. And I know you're probably going to say you need to start somewhere or whatever, but is there anything they can be doing now to get their bits in order before you would come? Like if they can't book you to February, March time, what could they be doing now to kind of get ready? Like, is there any kind of way they can start to make changes?
Are you talking about like people comparing themselves and then like putting a stop button on because they're afraid in case that, yeah, because do you know what? I actually think I used to get more of that until I got busy. And then whenever I got busy and stopped watching what other people were doing, I was able to just, I would say if you're finding yourself watching too many people and that's stopping you, you need to back off, first of all, watching other people, because you need to concentrate on yourself and focus on yourself. Because sometimes people have an idea and then if they go on clicking too much, somebody down the line might have the same idea. But they might, they didn't know this at the start, and then they feel like they can't go ahead with their idea because somebody has a similar idea to them. I don't think that's what you should be doing. If you had an idea and you're not copying somebody, it's going to be different. In some way, it's going to be different. It might be similar, but it's going to be different in some way. So just continue. Don't compare yourself. Just keep focused on your goal, what you want to get out of it. And you also, you just can't stop. As soon as you put the stop button on, then you're losing audience. You're losing, like I even, whenever I was sick, like as a business, I suppose still as an influencer, but as a business, whenever I was pregnant with whenever I was pregnant this time, the first 12 weeks, I was sick and I couldn't really come on. And because I couldn't, everything started dropping, and it takes a while to build back that engaged audience again. So whatever way it is with Instagram, especially, and the algorithm or whatever it is, if you stop, you have to build it all back up again. You really have to like keep going. So no matter if you feel like I can't do that because they've done that, just do it anyway, and just put your own spin on it. Just change it so that it's you. And in the meantime, just keep like on that OSF channel. I'm hoping on the Instagram channel to keep filling people up with little tips and tricks along the way until I can come back. So if they even want to go over there for a little bit of inspiration, if you're finding that you have a lack of inspiration, then maybe take a little day or two to yourself for it to come back again. Sometimes I find that. Sometimes I find I just...
I think it's good to maybe follow people not from around here, maybe from different countries, but in your same business model, and see what they're doing, and maybe get inspiration from people who maybe aren't down the road from you, because that's whenever the imposter syndrome was such a small country and such a you are aware of what other retailers are doing, for example, and what other makeup artists. But if you start to follow someone from America or someone from a different country, you can definitely get inspiration from them and bring that to the fore in your channel. So, maybe widen your span on social media and bring in other influences and until Ashlee's ready to take you on her books. But don't stop, because if you stop, like you say, the customers stop seeing you, and that is definitely not what we want right now with what's going on. So, what piece of advice would you give to an influencer out there who is feels like giving up because they can't grow their audience? I guess we probably have covered that a wee bit at the start, but I do speak to a lot of influencers who feel like overwhelmed by the big guys out there. Like, and at the end of the day, the big influencer was once like them too, and everybody needs a break. But have you got any wee bit of advice just to cheer them on and just to give them a bit of positive encouragement? Or
Well, I didn't get my first 1,000 followers in a year, 2 years. So like some of these small influencers don't actually realize how far they're coming so quick, because some of them, if they get 1,000 followers in a year, they think it's not fast enough. I didn't get mine in a year. I can hands up say that. And it does still, like, it slowly trickles in sometimes, and then there'll be a boom. And to be honest, it's like I've been doing it since 2014, 15, and so I'm not saying I wasn't a sensation overnight. It has taken me a long time and hard work and motivation. So I think you just have to keep going. I think people think that everything happened for me like in a very short space of time, but I'm proof of the fact that if you keep going, it will work out eventually. Like I think I was like, to be honest, like 2014 till what is that, 5 years? 2019, 5 years. So it has taken that amount of time for me to grow to where I have, but I feel like I grow more as the more I become myself, and worry less about what other people think. So
I think like that's brilliant advice, and anybody that is listening to Ashlee and doesn't follow her, like if you ask Ashlee, most times anything on Instagram she always writes back, or gives her honest stuff. She wears her heart on her sleeve, like I'll definitely say that, and even when you meet her she'll just tell you whatever she's thinking, and that's a very endearing part about her. So if you are an influencer or in business, don't be afraid, I think, to reach out to people. Yeah, you might not always get the answer you want, but I know in any case, if I've asked Ashlee, like, how do you do that? Or, what way do you cut, what filter is that? She's always told me. And I think that's a brilliant way to be, because if you share, it'll come back to you tenfold. And that's definitely what's happening to Ashlee now, because her business is booming. So I just want to say thank you so much, Ashlee. Like, this is my first podcast. I can't believe that it's you on it with me. And I think it's a very you're a very fitting person, because you have pivoted as well in your whole space online, and you're now actually teaching people how to be the amazing person, or try to be the amazing content creator that you are. And I think that's that's why I wanted you here, because I knew from an influencer and a business perspective you would relate, so many people would relate to you. So I hope that people got lots of tips. All the information will be in the show notes. If they didn't pick, you're driving right now and you didn't get a piece of paper to write down the name of Ashlee's camera, it will all be in the show notes. And I want to say good luck on your wee baby. And I know it's not flipping easy. I have 3, so I know that, but it is the best feeling in the world. You always think, how am I going to love another baby as much as I love the one I already have? And then the baby comes and you're like, oh my God, it's the exact same love. So I am envious you're going to feel that again, and I want to wish you all the best. And good luck with OSF Designs. I know you're going to take it by storm in February, and there's going to be a big waiting list after this podcast.
Okay, that's great, Caroline. Lovely speaking to you, and you're doing absolutely amazing. Congratulations. Open up a bottle of champagne this weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much to Ashlee for taking the time to speak to us and for giving us all of that information. I know that sometimes that can be a lot to process, so we have made some show notes for you. If you head over to diggmama.com and go to the Digg podcast page, you will see all of the information there, all of the links, all of the apps that Ashlee mentioned, and it'll give you more time just to process and go through that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our podcast. That will mean you'll be kept up to date with all our new guests. And also, if you want to follow all the drama behind the scenes, you can do that on the social media channels Digg Mama. So have a happy week, guys, a safe one. Strange times, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, and I will see you all on the next podcast.